When you're getting ready to leave on a road trip in a car, you just decide when you're leaving and you drive, and you know it's going to take you a certain amount of time. How is departure planning different when you're on a boat? Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and welcome to the Boat Galley Podcast. I'm talking about the 3 things to consider when you're figuring out when you want to leave to get somewhere else. Today's episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by MantisMarine.com, maker of the Mantis Anchor, now available in models with and without a roll bar. Proven to set reliably in the most challenging bottoms, the Mantis Anchor digs like no other, making anchoring safer and boating more enjoyable. Mantis Marine brings to market practical, durable, and affordable marine products, including anchoring gear, scuba diving accessories, rechargeable waterproof headlight for hands-free lighting, and a solar charging navigation light for your dinghy. Visit MantisMarine.com and see for yourself. Before you get to your anchorage, where you use your Mantis anchor to hook yourself to the bottom happily, comfortably, and safely, you have to get there, which means leaving from somewhere. Well, what's the big deal, you say? I'm used to doing this all the time. I know how long it's going to take me. I know how fast I'm going. Not a big deal. Well, 3 things that you might want to consider when you are talking about going somewhere on your boat. You got to consider your arrival. When do you want to get in? Okay, doesn't seem like a big deal, but are there any obstacles that might affect this arrival? If you're going in French Polynesia in the Tuamotus, for example, you have to consider your passes and the timing and then when the tide might be right and the current might be right for you to be able to get in. Do you need to have visibility and light to be able to navigate going through if you're in the Bahamas or in French Polynesia and you know that you need to get to your anchorage with the sun high and behind you? Figuring out your arrival time, that's an obstacle that you need to take into account when you figure out when you're going to leave, because you need it to be based on when you want to arrive and what that might look like. You are needing to look at the weather. What's the weather like where you are? What's the weather like where you're going? Is there something that you need to be aware of? For instance, do you need to make sure that you leave a certain place because weather's coming in and you need to get to where you're going, even though you're still enjoying the place where you are and are happy with the weather there, but you need to get somewhere else because the weather's going to come in? So thinking about weather can make a difference as to when you are leaving a certain place. And of course, there's boat speed. Understanding what your boat speed is and what you can do to change that if either the weather is or arrival time requires that. We had this in our most recent transit between Hao and Roroya in the Tuamotus. We knew that we had about 150 miles to go, and we figured on our average, we thought, okay, it's going to be about a 30-hour passage. Well, it wound up being quite a bit faster than that. Understanding that if we needed to, we could have just hove to, but we had that conversation ahead of time. We said, if we're going faster than we think, we can heave to outside of the pass and wait for the tide to turn or the light to come up. We actually wound up slowing ourselves down so that we didn't approach the end of the island, the end of the atoll, before we had enough light to be able to see. So understanding what your boat speed is, but also what you can do if you need to slow it down or speed it up in that case. So all of those things change your departure time. So instead of necessarily thinking that you're leaving just when you want to leave, you have to consider your arrival time, the weather, both where you're leaving from and where you're going to, and also your boat speed and what you might be able to do to speed up or slow down if you need to. I can't wait to share an anchorage with you when we've figured out departure time and arrival time and have arrived somewhere amazing together and we get to toast to our incredible good fortune at being able to live this amazing lifestyle. Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. We love it when we hear from our listeners. We love it when you share us with your friends. We love it when you don't forget to subscribe and let other people know that you might have learned something that helped you make boat life just a little bit better. Have the most spectacular week.